All right, so let's see this particular question now. Reverse words in a string, right? So in this question, we are given an input string S, right? And what we need to do is we need to reverse the string without actually reversing its individual words, right? And they are also saying that the words over here are separated by spaces, right? So, each word has a space in between, and that's how we have to identify, a new word, right? And also basically what they are saying is that, for example, if this is my input string, the sky is blue, I don't have to actually reverse this particular input string, like all the characters of this particular input string, but I just have to reverse the relative ordering of the words of this particular input string, right? So for example, blue is a word which is coming at the end in the original input string. So this blue will come in the beginning in my expected output, right? Similarly, since the is coming in the first place in my original input, it will be at the end in my output, right? Because I need to reverse the ordering of the words of my string, right? Which are there in the input. So that's what I need to do in this particular question. Now maybe you can just pause this video and try to think of a solution. And once you're done, you can just come back and check the solution. All right, so now to solve this particular question, see what we can do is we can essentially traverse in this particular string from the left to the right and loop over all the characters, right? And what we can do is we can keep maintaining, we can keep building a resultant string that we will be returning as the output at the end, right? So in this resultant string, whenever I encounter a word, right, whenever I complete a given word, and how will I come to know if I have completed a given word or not? If I encounter a space, right? If I encounter a space, whatever I had till the last character becomes my one word, right? So whenever I encounter a new space, that means I come at the end of a word, I will just take that word and I will append that word in the beginning of my resulting string that I am building, right? And I will keep doing this with every new word that I'm encountering from the left to the right, right? And since I'm appending each word that I'm getting from the left to the right in the beginning of the resulting string, I will actually end up having a reversed order of all the words in this particular input string, right? So once I actually see the, I will be actually appending it, in the beginning of the empty string because there would be nothing in the initially in the resulting string. Then when I encounter sky, I will again append it in the beginning, right? So it will now be coming before the, right? Similarly, when I encounter is, now again I will be appending it in the beginning and it will be coming before sky, right? And that's how I will be reversing the order of all the words in this particular string, right? So let's actually backtrace this particular solution on this particular input. Now over here, if you see, this is my current word, right? Which I have to build as and when I'm encountering any new character in the string, right? I will keep building my word. And the moment I encounter a space, whatever is the value of my word, I will just append it to my result string, right? In the beginning. And then I will just reset my word string to an empty string again and start a new word, right? So that's what I'm doing over here. So now if you see this, this is my input, the sky is blue. Now, if I start looping over each character of this particular string, first I will get T, right? And I will just append it in the current word, right? This word string, I will just append it over here. Then I get H, again I will append it in the word string. Then I get E, again I will append it in the word string. And now I will encounter a space over here after E, right? So once I encounter a space, I will just reset my current word because I've marked the end of the word now. And I will just append the current value of the word in the beginning of my resultant string, right? So I will just append the current value of the word in my result string, and then I will just reset my word string to an empty string again, right? And then I will move to the next character. So next character I encounter S, which is not a space. So again, I will just append it in my word string. Then again, I get K, which is again not a space. So again, I will just append it in the word string. Then I get Y, again, I will append it in the word string. And then I will get a space. And now that's where I will just append the current value of my word string in the beginning of the result string and reset my word string to an empty string. And then again, I will move to the next character. I get I will append it to the word string. Then I get S, again, I will append it to the word string. Then I get a space. Again, I will append this is word that I got in the beginning of the result string to make it is sky the, right? And reset my word string to empty string. And then again, I will move to the next character. I get a blue. I will append it to the word string. I get L, then I get U, then I get E, everything will go in the word string until I get a space. And once I get a space, I will just append my current value of the word in the beginning of my result string, right? Then I'm done, right? Because now I have hit the end, right? And actually this last word, we didn't get a space over here, but since this was the end of the string, then I actually have to handle that case also, that if I'm not encountering a space at the end, but I have actually come out of the for loop, that means there's still a word which I actually have to append with my result string in the beginning, right? So that case I have to handle separately, which I will do. So either if I'm actually getting a space or if I'm hitting the end of the entire string, in either of the case, whatever is the value of the word, I will just append it in the beginning of the result string, right? And at the end of the entire process, like this for loop and then appending the last word in the string with this particular result string in the beginning, I will have the complete output that I need to return in this particular result string, right? So this is the entire solution to this particular problem. I hope this is clear to you now. And talking about the time complexity and space complexity, see time complexity, we are just scanning this particular string. We are just looping over each of the character of this particular string once. So the time complexity will be essentially linear. It will be order of n. And talking about the space complexity, since we are not using any extra space over here for our computation, right? We are using an extra space to actually build the output, but that is actually space for output, right? We are not using that space for our actual program, for our actual computation, right? So that we won't be considering in the extra space, right? That is the space we have reserved for the output, for returning the output. And hence, we are not using actually any extra space over here, and the space complexity will be order of 1, right? So the time complexity will be order of n, and the space complexity will be order of 1, right? So that's the entire solution. And now let's code this particular solution. So first of all, we will define a function, reverse words, right? And this will take a string s as an input, right? And then next, we will initialize three variables. N will be holding the length of the string s itself, right? Res will be storing the final result that we will be returning finally. And this is the variable, this is the string which we will be building as and when we are finding new words by appending that word in the beginning of the resultant string, this res string, right? And then finally, we will be using an str variable. This str string will be used to temporarily build each word, right? As we iterate through the string, right? So whenever we are encountering a new word, like a new letter, we will just keep appending it to this particular str string, right? So that we keep building the word, right? Until we hit a space, and then we take this particular entire value, whatever we have gathered in the str, right, till that space, and then append it in the beginning of the result string, right? So this is the purpose of the str variable basically, right? Now, what we need to do is we now need to loop through each character in the string, right? So for that, what we will do is we will just run a for loop in the range of n, right? From 0 to n minus 1 index, right? And now what we are saying is that if we encounter a space, right? If the current character is a space actually, then we will add the current word, right? Whatever we have gathered in this str variable so far, we will just add it in the beginning of the res string, right? So that's what we are doing over here, right? We are just checking if the current res string is already empty. That is, to start with, there will be nothing inside of this particular res string, so it will be empty. So in that case, we don't have to append anything in the beginning. We just have to, reassign whatever is there in the str currently, like whatever word we have formed till now, the first word, we just have to reassign that word, that str value into the res string, right? That's what we have to do. But before doing that, we will also check if the str is not empty. Because if the word that we have formed so far is itself empty, then there is no point of doing this reassignment. We will just keep res to res, right? So that's what we are doing over here in case res is empty. If res is not empty, in that case, we will just take the str value, whatever is the current value of the str, the word that we have formed, and we will just append it in the beginning of the res string, right? With a space in between, like this, right? And also, before doing that, we will again check if the str itself is not empty, because again, if it is empty, then we don't have to do this appending operation also, right? We will just keep res to res, right? So that's what we are doing over here in case res is not already empty, right? And then after doing this particular appending operation of str before the res string, we will just reset the str to an empty string, right? Because now we have to start forming a new word from the next character, right? So that's what we are doing over here, right? Now this is for if the current character was a space, right? But what if we don't encounter a space and the current character is actually a different character, a non-space character, right? So then in that case, we will be entering the else part over here, right? And over here, what we will be doing is we will be actually adding characters, whatever we have, currently in the current iteration to the str string over here that we are building, right? So as in when we are encountering any non-space character, we will keep appending it in the str string to keep forming, to keep building that particular word till we actually hit a space and then, break that particular word and append it, in the beginning of the res string, right? So till we don't hit a space character, till we are only having non-space characters, we will just keep entering this else part and we will keep appending that individual character, every character in every iteration to the str string that we are building to form that particular, to keep building that word, right? So that's what we are doing over here. And now after the loop finishes, after we come out of this particular for loop, we still have to handle the last word, right? Because it won't be followed by a space, right? Because see, since it is the last word, there won't be any space after it. Right after that particular word, we will just hit the end of the string, right? We will just come out of the for loop, right? So since there is no space after that particular word, we will never be entering this particular if condition. And hence we will never be appending that particular word in this res string in the beginning, right? And hence we have to take care of that last word separately, right? Outside this for loop. And so for that purpose, we will be just writing this code block of appending the current string value, the current word in the beginning of the res string over here, right? So this is the same code block that we had written over here. We are also replicating that same code block over here, right? So this is what we are doing. And after doing this entire operation, basically, we will be having the entire reversed order of the words of the original input in this res string, right? Because we have been appending every new word that we have been forming from the left to the right in the beginning of the resultant string, right? So in that way, we have been reversing the order of the words as and when we are building this particular res string, right? So finally, I will just return my res string, which will be my final output, right? So this is the entire solution of this particular problem. I hope you understood it well, right? Also just reiterating on the time complexity and space complexity. Time complexity of this particular solution will be order of n, since we are just having one for loop, which is iterating over the entire input array once, right? So it will be order of n. And space complexity, again, since we are not using any extra space for our program, we are just using some extra space for the output. So my space complexity will be order of 1. It will be constant, right? So this is the entire solution of this particular problem. And now I will see you in the next one. Thank you.